All right, so this is Reminiscence. It just came out, starring Hugh Jackman. It's written and directed by Lisa Joy, and I'll say how I feel about it in a little while. But it takes place, I believe, in Miami, and in this world, I guess there was some war that went on, and as a result, or I think it was as a result of the war, but either way, it's completely flooded, and it's almost like dystopian, really. That people only come out at night; they don't come out during the day, which we'll talk about that in a second. Hugh Jackman plays Nick Bannister, and he runs this machine. I think the machine is called Reminiscence, and using that machine, people can relive their memories, and he can like guide them through it and things like that. And he actually gets this like I don't know if it's like a kind of like a hologram. He gets like this display of what's going on that he can actually watch. So Rebecca Ferguson plays May, and one day she comes in because she had lost her keys, and after that they form a relationship, but she actually just disappears one day, and so he doesn't know where she's at, and he's kind of looking around trying to figure out where she is, and so it's kind of like a mystery. I thought this wasn't good, but it's not necessarily bad either. It's ultimately watchable. There were some good things in it though. I thought Hugh Jackman was really good. Rebecca Ferguson is good too. Tandy Newton is like Hugh Jackman's partner in this whole thing, the reminiscence thing, and she's good in the movie too. Everybody else just about is pretty bad. There's this guy that he goes to talk to, this drug dealer. What was his name? His name was like something Saint or Saint Joe or something like that. And he's part of, he's got this connection with May, with Rebecca Ferguson's character, and he wasn't very good. And then there's some other people too that weren't very good. But at least like the main actors here, actor and actresses, though they're good. The movie shot well, some nice shots of the city, and it being like flooded over, and like they have to take like boats to get to certain places and things like that. It's a decent looking movie, and for most of it it's pretty interesting. Like they introduce these different things that have to do with the reminiscence machine. If you didn't notice something originally when that memory first happened, you're most likely not going to notice it again if you go back in, because I guess your brain will be in the same state it was during that memory. So there's some interesting things here with the what I would say is like the sci-fi element, I guess. So there are some positives there, and the overall mystery does have certain things that are kind of intriguing with it. Ultimately, the movie doesn't really work all that well for me. It's kind of almost trying to be like a noir mystery, but then it also has this sci-fi element with the memory machine that doesn't really work all that well together. Uh, it's it's kind of messy because it's kind of all over the place. The dialogue is not good. Everything kind of feels like a line. Like there's one part where they're Rebecca Ferguson and Hugh Jackman's character. They're doing some romantic thing out on a date or whatever, and she's like, "Tell me a what is it?" She's like, "Tell me a story with a happy ending." And he's like, "There are no happy endings. They're they're all sad endings, especially if the story was happy." And she's like, "Well, tell me a story and then end it in the middle." I was like, oh. There's this voiceover that feels kind of unnecessary. It's mostly for like exposition, which there's already too much of that in like world building and stuff like that with what's going on in this world. So there's some voiceover narration, and I guess that's to make it more noir-ish. But it's some of the stuff he says during it, and it's like what did he say? He said he was talking about the rich family, and he's like, they say about the Titanic, the only things that survived were the rich and the rats, and they are both, or something like that. It was if it was just those instances, it would be okay, but it feels like there's a lot of that to where the writing feels like overdone. It's like roll your eyes type shit. If people only come out at night, but they're still up during the day, when do they go to sleep? I mean, that's just, maybe that's a small thing, but a lot of this, like, they're veterans, Tandy Newton and Hugh Jackman's character, and a couple other people from this big war that happened, And in a movie where all they do is show people's memories, you never get to see the actual war. Like it felt like it was only just so that they could have a backstory, and so it could explain why Tandy Newton and Hugh Jackman are like good fighters, and she's a good shooter. You know, because there's action in this movie. The action isn't all that great though, because this isn't really an action movie. But like it just so the action scenes just kind of feel like they're there, and that's it. My main issue is probably the pacing. The movie's almost 2 hours and just about 2 hours, and you feel that because it feels so slow. It feels like it never. I don't think I was ever really bored, but I was to the point where I was like, all right, can we hurry up and get to what we're trying to get to? Because it could have been a better movie if it was a little bit tighter. Because as much as it feels like the movie's kind of all over the place and doesn't really work all that well narratively, uh, it still feels like it's like moving at a really really slow pace. Like I like the final thing where he finds out who was behind it all, but the acting wasn't very good from that character, that actor, and it took so long to get there that by the time they got there, I just didn't care. Like there was so many parts of the movie where I was like, "We're almost to the end, right? Oh, we still got like half an hour left. Oh, well, I guess not." So yeah, I'll give it a rental because it is watchable. It's on HBO Max, so you can check it out. I don't think anybody's gonna see this in the theater. I mean, when things get revealed, it takes so long to get there. At least it feels like it does. When things get revealed, it's like, oh, okay, I can see that. But it takes so long to get there, and it's just the writing just the writing just isn't that good, especially with the dialogue. So yeah, I'll give it a rental. That is Reminiscence, and subscribe all that other stuff, and we're done.